I'm Damien with
Pelican Parts.
and today we're going to install
Rennline's
new Sport Plus coilovers on our 996.
Remove the battery cover and adjacent cowl panels to gain access to the 3 nuts holding the strut mounts into the strut towers. Lift out this section of carpet just behind the rear seats so you can get to the rear strut mount hardware. Once your car is off the ground safely, remove all the wheels. Grab a 15mm socket and remove the 3 nuts holding the rear strut mounts into the strut tower. Counterhold the sway bar end link with a 17mm wrench and use a 17mm socket on the other side to remove the nut. Using 2 18mm wrenches, one to counterhold the bolt, undo the nut at the bottom of the strut. Since the control arm bushings are tightened to their final torque with the suspension in the loaded position, the entire knuckle is pushing up on the strut. Because of this, you'll need to tap that bolt out with a punch. With one hand using a pry bar and the other holding the strut, lever it out of the knuckle and remove it completely. The entire knuckle will kick up as the tension of the bushings is relieved, so watch out for that. Before installing the coilovers, double check that the main central nuts on the strut mounts are tight. They should be at 80 Nm for the front and 43 Nm for the rear. We noticed reusing the stock end links would change the angle or sway bar for the worse, since the suspension angles will change with the ride height we were after. Adjustable drop links from our friends over at Carrera Engineering was the obvious choice. These would remove deflection since they use spherical bearings and give us the length adjustment we needed to remove any preload from our sway bar. Rennline's coilovers have a threaded shock body with a locking collar to adjust the ride height as any good coilover should. Use the factory strut as a reference and set your desired ride height on the Rennline assembly and lift it into the car with the drop link pre-installed. Slide the bottom bolt through so you can feed the strut mount into the strut tower. Torque the bolt holding the coilover to the wheel carrier to 100 Nm. Attach the drop link and end link in the sway bar and torque the fasteners to 46 Nm. Back inside the car, bolt down the top mount to the strut tower via the 3 nuts torqued to 46 Nm. These coilovers also have 32 different damper adjustment settings. We don't want to damage the fender at all when we swing the top of the strut out. The brake line is held to the strut with this grommet. This 10mm bolt holds the electrical connections for the wheel speed sensor and brake wear sensor to the knuckle. This tie rod came apart after removing the nut. If you're not so lucky, use a ball joint separator like this Schwaben unit. These work by supporting the knuckle and pressing the stud of the tie rod out. The top connection of the sway bar doubles as the pinch bolt holding the strut into the knuckle. Counterhold with a 17mm wrench and remove the nut with a 19mm on the other side. The top of the strut is held in with 3 13mm nuts. Now we can remove the strut by pressing it towards the ground to clear the fender and lifting it out of the knuckle. Pay attention to the orientation of the strut mounts as they are directional. The bolt pattern is an offset triangular pattern. Match the Rennline camber plates up with the OEM strut mount to ensure you're putting the right coilover on the right side. Place the coilover in the knuckle first and use a screw jack, or floor jack if you're working on jack stands, under the lower control arm to lift the camber plate into the strut mount. Before putting the end link or drop link through the knuckle and strut, make sure the knuckle's seated as far as it will go. Push the end link or drop link through the assembly and tighten the lock nut. Final torque of the nut is 85 Newton meters. Reinstall the tie rod and torque that nut down to 75 Newton meters. Bolt the sensor bracket to the knuckle with the 10mm bolt. The strut tower holes for the strut mounts are slotted to offer a small amount of camber adjustment from the factory. Torque the strut mount nuts to 37 Newton meters. Let's set up the spring preload. We went with 5mm. After we made the adjustment and measured to make sure we were at the correct preload, we tightened the collars back together. Do this for all 4 corners. Set your desired ride height by loosening the locking collar away from the shock body and turning the threaded shock out of the body to raise the car or into the shock body to lower it.
Now we got the passenger side front coilover and rear coilover in. We're gonna repeat the process on the driver's side of the car.
Rennline's coilovers lower a 996 Carrera 38 to 44mm in the front and 31 to 37mm in the rear. Pick a starting point and work your way up or down from there. Reinstall the carpet in the rear behind the seats, the cowl and battery covers, and the wheels. Measure your ride height and readjust as necessary. It might take you a few tries to get your desired results, but once you do, head right over to the alignment shop.
If you want to learn more about working on your Porsche, come find us at pelicanparts.com.